Right, coming up to game week 12, guys, and I think we're really starting to get into the spirit of things, starting to get into a bit of a feel of the teams in form, the teams out of form, the teams where there's potential crisis, the teams where everything seems to be going absolutely perfectly for them. And we are going to be addressing and discussing all that sort of thing with the game week 12 review and the game week 13 preview, along with all the midweek games that are happening in between. There's going to be some big discussion points. Of course, we will address them as we come to it. So, shall we do it? Let's do it. Right, okay, cool. Let's start off. We had our Saturday matches that happened first of all. We started off with a 12:30 match between Burnley and Chelsea. Burnley did actually do all right, but lost out 2-0 in the end to Chelsea. We had a thrilling contest between Bournemouth and West Ham. West Ham going 2 goals up. Bournemouth getting a comeback to get a point. So both teams will feel happy and unhappy about that. Brighton Hove Albion coming from behind to beat Brentford at home. Really, really good stuff from them. Fulham beating Sunderland. Starting to follow a little bit more, Sunderland now starting to tail off. We will address that as well. Liverpool losing 3-0 to Nottingham Forest. Yes, we've got some things to address there, and especially with the midweek games, we'll get to that. Wolverhampton Wanderers losing 2-0 to Crystal Palace at home. Again, Wolverhampton Wanderers, it just seems like a done deal. They're going to lose every single time right now. And then controversially, Newcastle beating Manchester City at home, getting some good points for them. We then moved on to Sunday, and we had a comeback win for Aston Villa against Leeds United, getting a 2-1 win. And then we had Arsenal absolutely humiliating Tottenham Hotspur, but with Eberechi Eze, which was a bit of a surprise, scoring a hat-trick. And that was that. And then we had a Monday match where Manchester United lost to Everton. Everton with 10 men. Got to give real credit to Everton there. As much as I don't want to, with it being local rivals, that's how it is. And that's how we had the matches. And in terms of the points, this is where it left me. 25 points. It was awful. No players did well. We had goalkeeper on the bench, but ultimately no one did well because even when the teams did well, the players didn't get picked. So we had not just 25 total points, but basically barely anything in terms of good points. So we got some catching up to do. So we're going to address the midweek games as well that happened. So we started off with the Tuesday. We had some teams performing in the Champions League, the European top competition. Big standouts, obviously, for when it comes to the FPL. Chelsea beating Barcelona 3-0. That was a huge result for Chelsea. Really, really good stuff for them. Manchester City losing to Bayer Leverkusen. That was a surprise. Marseille beating Newcastle. That was somewhat of a surprise. And then on to Wednesday. The surprises don't end. Arsenal beating Bayern Munich. That was a really good result for them. Bayern Munich are one of the top teams in Europe, so really, really good stuff. Liverpool losing 4-1 at home to PSV. PSV aren't a special club, let's say, in terms of like they're not in like the top tier. So for Liverpool to lose that badly to PSV, there's stuff we need to address in terms of that, and we will get onto that when we go to the preview of the next matches. And Tottenham Hotspur losing 5-3 to Paris Saint-Germain, just at the bottom there as well. We also have some matches going on today, Thursday as of recording, where we've got Aston Villa playing against Young Boys. That is a Swiss team, genuine Swiss team. It's not just a load of kids playing in European competitions. We also have Nottingham Forest that are playing against Malmo, a top team in Sweden. And lastly, I don't think I'm missing any there. Yep, lastly, we've got the Conference League where Crystal Palace are playing. They've got kind of a difficult fixture. They're playing at Strasbourg, which is a really decent team. Really decent team. So something to keep an eye out for there. So, with all that in mind, with the midweek games, with all of that situation, Where does that leave us? Well, let's have a look where we are at now. No Friday games, fantastic. We've got some time to get our teams ready, get our teams set up. So we go on to Saturday. Not even at 12:30. We've got 3 p.m. games going on the Saturday. We start off with Brentford versus Burnley. Brentford, good team at home. Burnley do struggle away, so it does look like it's going to be a Brentford win. But Burnley, again, still showing their good defensive now. So I think this is going to be a close win. Sort of like a 1-0, maybe a 2-1, something like that. Manchester City then versus Leeds United. As much as they lost against Bayer Leverkusen and they lost against Newcastle, I do think Manchester City will get the win, so it's good to get some good attackers on there. Maybe give Haaland a go in that. We might be even considering that coming up. Sunderland versus Bournemouth. This is Bournemouth away. Bournemouth have performed well, but Sunderland at home could be a challenging, could be a difficult test. I feel like Sunderland have got a chance here. I think there's going to be a good result for Sunderland. I don't know why. Everton versus Newcastle United. Newcastle on a decent run of form, apart from the mid-European game. Everton, with their spirits up, considering they won with 10 men. So this one's going to be tight. If it was like sort of a 2-1 either way, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna edge it to Newcastle, but it's very tight. So certainly want to keep an eye on there. Tottenham Hotspur versus Fulham. Tottenham Hotspur should use this as a springboard to get back into the groove of things, of course, and start looking into that. Then we come into the Sunday matches. We have Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. Crystal Palace being a bogey team for Manchester United recently, but they are playing in midweek and Manchester United are not. I think a draw. 1-1. I'm calling it 1-1. I think there's going to be a goal in it for Mateta, but I do think there's going to be a surprise goal in it for Manchester United, maybe someone like Diallo or Mbeumo. Aston Villa versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. It's an Aston Villa win. Wolverhampton Wanderers are rubbish at the moment, so we'll pop Aston Villa as the good shout here in terms of having some Aston Villa players. Nottingham Forest versus Brighton Hove Albion. Nottingham Forest are really in the groove of things now. Getting good points against good teams, great teams, even if they might have fallen off. So maybe start putting Nottingham Forest players back. Then we've got West Ham United versus Liverpool. Right. If this was at the start of the season, you'd be like going, it's an easy Liverpool win. West Ham are rubbish. But West Ham are not rubbish at the moment. And Liverpool are. We need to address this Liverpool situation. As a Liverpool fan, I feel like I need to. I feel like I'm obligated to address the Liverpool situation. And here's the thing. I'm never going to be a, slot in, slot out, Salah in, Salah out, Van Dijk in, Van Dijk out, right? Kanate in, Kanate out. I do think there's some big changes that need to be made in terms of Liverpool, whether that's with the squad or the manager. I wouldn't be surprised either way, right? If the board chose to let go of Arne Slot, considering everything, I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be sad, but I wouldn't be surprised. Sort of similar to when Brendan Rodgers got sacked, to be quite honest. I liked him, but I wasn't surprised that he'd gone, right? But big changes need to be made. I personally am not happy with Konate's performance. I'm not going to go into the, maybe he's distracted by Real Madrid, which is what some people are saying, but it almost feels like if it's not a big game, he's not up for it. And I think we need someone that is like going to want to take the bull by the horns, let's say. And it almost feels like, Gomez needs to be in. bring back a little bit of spirit. I think Van Dijk would like a change of pace, and maybe that would help. I think Robertson, now he's probably a bit more focused, let's say, considering what happened with Scotland last week. Maybe even bringing him in just for a little bit. I think right now, Liverpool need to focus defensively. Attacking wise, I'm surprised at how top heavy Liverpool is in terms of how much attack they do have. And it is getting to the point where it's a little bit disjointed. I think this is the opportunity to try and see what it's like without Salah, right? Maybe bring in Chiesa on the right, having Wirtz on the left, maybe. Just something to change things up, just to... It's that sort of thing of... here's the best way of putting it. You know, you've been in a work situation where things just don't seem right, and then a manager does like a change of pacing. I'm not talking about like crazy processes that you're like, why are we even following this? But you know, that sort of thing that just makes you go, oh, that's different. And maybe like sort of sparks a little bit of, oh, this is fascinating, this is interesting. I don't know. It feels like right now they need to change something. And the way that I see it is, if Arne Slot doesn't change things, we're going to end up in the same situation, and we're going to end up with the same, battles and everything like that. If I'm being honest, very much like last week, I'd be happy with a draw. I'd especially be happy with like a 0-0 draw, because then at least we're stopping a rot, let's say. So yeah, it's hard not to see it. But again, we're in a situation when it comes to Liverpool, I don't have the confidence in them anymore, especially from an FPL perspective. Then we have Chelsea versus Arsenal, and you can't really bet against an Arsenal win, except for the fact that Chelsea did beat Barcelona. And it is at Chelsea. This is one of those where Chelsea could be up for it, and we could be ending up in that. And if I'm being honest, I like a little bit of excitement in the Premier League. I think if Arsenal get a draw here, that would be an incredible result for them. I think it's going to be really, really tight and tense. So I'm going to give it a 2-1 Arsenal win, but I think it's going to be incredibly tight. And I think, Arsenal will have a challenge on their hands, and they'll do well to do further. No Monday matches, I don't think. Nope, we've got a championship match. So let's see where we are at in terms of our team, in terms of picking the team, and what we need to do. Now, here's the situation. Gabriel and Wirtz are both injured on our team. Gabriel is injured with a thigh injury. They don't know when he's going to return. Wirtz expected back next week, actually. So sadly, we're going to probably take out Gabriel, maybe. Do you know what? No. I don't think we will. We've got an idea. We've got some money, so we're going to spend it. This is our chance now. We don't normally use our cheat code, but we're going to do it. I'm going to be taking out João Pedro. I don't think he's been good recently. And we're going for it. We have the money to spend on Haaland. So we're going to do it. We're going to bring in Haaland. I think it's going to switch. So, yeah. So here is what we're going to do in terms of our lineup. So Pedro Porro is coming in for Gabriel. Now, Isidore. Is there anyone we would take out for Isidore? Probably not. Do I have confidence in Isidore? Yes. But not Gusto. I'm going 3-4-3. I'm happy with that. I'm going to make Haaland my captain. And vice captain for Saka. Considering I'm a Liverpool fan, the fact that I've got West Ham playing, I've got more trust in West Ham than I have Liverpool, is crazy. I never thought I'd be in that situation, but here is where we are at. We are hoping that Kelleher gets a clean sheet against Burnley. It's Brentford at home, they've got a chance. I'm hoping Truffer gets some assists. I don't think he'll get a clean sheet against Sunderland, but I do think he's going to get some crosses in, get some assists, maybe only concede one. So I'm putting faith in Truffer there. Pedro Porro. I'd like to see Fulham and Tottenham play out a draw. We've got some cover though in terms of Wilson, and actually for Truffer we've got some cover in terms of Isidore. For Matty Cash against Wolves, it feels like an inevitability that he's going to get some good points against Wolves, so we're going to put some confidence in that. Caicedo has been good, and we're going to hope that does bodes well on the pitch against Arsenal. We're going to hope on that, but we got Saka covering if not. We're putting trust in Sarr against Manchester United. We're hoping Haaland has some fun against Leeds and Jared Bowen. If the worst comes to the worst, we're going to potentially get some points to Jared Bowen. That is where we're at. But let me know your thoughts, not just on FPL, but just on Premier League teams in general. Where you think they should, who should come in, who should come out, what is going on at certain clubs. I'd love to know your thoughts. And yeah, that is pretty much it. It is a difficult time, but we are continuing through it. We're continuing with the reliability just in case something comes about it. And yeah, until next time, take care.